Hello everyone, my name's Simon Williams. I'm currently part of the National Security and Justice team with KPMG over in Australia, but very recently left policing after 22 years. Spent time with the West Midlands Police here in the UK, in Birmingham, transferred over in 2016 to WA Police, spent 3 years there working on innovation and policing improvement, and then moved to New Zealand Police and became the director of the Evidence-Based Policing Centre for New Zealand Police. My last year there was on secondment to the Australian New Zealand Police Advisory Agency, based out of Melbourne at the Victoria Police Centre. So that's given me a really broad view of policing, but for the last 10 years or so I've been really involved in evidence-based policing and driving innovation change through the use of evidence-based practice. I'm here at the conference today, opened up this morning to really talk about the three most impactful trials over the last couple of years that have been taking place in New Zealand, in Brisbane, and also in Melbourne and Victoria. So we started off talking about targeting fail to appear warrants. Big problem, 15% failure to appear rate across New Zealand, where people are charged by police, fail to appear at court, and that has a massive ripple effect. We used behavioural insights approach mixed with procedural justice to reduce the reading age of the police bail notice from 12 years to 9 years, implemented that in a small scale RCT that showed some promise, scaled that up across the country in a step-wage randomised control trial nationally. Sounds complicated, it's really not. Basically every 2 weeks we included a new police station with custody facilities into the trial, which meant that we just rolled that out across 33 custody stations in about 13 months. And the results from that showed that people who were charged using the new notice with the reduced reading age and the elements of procedural justice in there were less likely to fail to appear at court. So huge drop in warrants being issued, which has a really positive effect for everybody involved, really, because the police, let's face it, go knock on the door at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and it's not a good outcome for anybody when a warrant gets issued. So they're really cheap, effective, low-cost intervention that really helped there. Then we talked about a piece of work around focused deterrence. So focused deterrence is a mixture of sending a very crystal clear message to offenders, normally serious offenders who are causing serious harm, that they are on the police radar, they are known, that if they keep offending, there will be a significant consequence. So real clear messaging around that, but also an offer of support. So one of the appealing principles I think is often forgotten is this open and ready hand of friendship. And so when we think about trying to desist people away from crime, an offer of support and referral into service providers from the cops. So Detective Superintendent Dave Cowan ran that trial. It's called Operation Capesso over in Melbourne, and he looked at 1,000 offenders who were involved in serious public place violence offending, serious assaults, affrays, robberies, violent or aggravated burglary offences, and took half of that cohort of offenders, so 500, randomly allocated 500 to be treated as business as usual, 500 to get a knock on the door and a focused deterrent visit from one of his officers. It was outside of them being investigated for any crime, outside of them being wanted on warrant, a knock on the door, a letter that clearly said, this is our intent, there'll be a consequence if you keep offending, but we're here to help you as well. Really great experience all round for the officers concerned. And at the end of the trial, at the end of 500 days of follow-up between the two groups, the groups that were engaged by a police officer in that manner were significantly less likely to have reoffended across every single crime type that Dave and the team looked at, but particularly around the violent offending that they'd been identified for in the first place. Really great outcome there for focused deterrence with procedural justice. And then finally, we went over to the East Coast and we went to Brisbane, where we looked at work from Senior Sergeant Darren Green, who's a tactician with Ipswich Police as part of Queensland Police, who used an SMS text message nudge to try and prevent offenders from re-offending. So again, it had the key elements of procedural justice in there, transparent message with providing a voice and honest motives for the offender to read. Took about 355 offenders, randomly allocated after 48 hours of having a look at who'd just come through custody blocks. At the end of the trial, the people who had got the SMS text message, which was about 60% of the group that were initially contacted, had a significantly reduced number of reoffences committed in a 3-month follow-up. So a really short, sharp study, but one that demonstrates that an offer of support by the police, written in a procedurally just way, can actually help have an impact compared to offenders who have gone through the police process of being arrested and police custody and just left to their own devices. So again, really cheap, easy, effective. I think it took about 6 minutes to talk to people over the phone if they wanted a referral. Really, really simple stuff. So hopefully there's been some lessons there for everyone this morning that actually you can adopt procedural justice, focused deterrence, put those things together with some behavioural science and actually make a really big difference with some really small, neat changes.